hopefully I am live right now. I guess. Let me know. Someone comment and tell me that we are here. I'm using a little bit of a different setup than normal because today with the online color matching, I needed to be able to show you pictures during it. So this is kind of a new setup for me, and I'm hoping that it works for us. So far I'm not seeing anyone on. I'll probably give it a few minutes where this is a training based thing and we want you to be here live. I am going to give it a couple minutes instead of just jumping in like I normally would on a live video. Hi, we have a comment. Hello. Okay, unfortunately it's not showing me your names. So I will just have to try and answer your questions without knowing your names or go in after the video and do that. Okay, well, hello. Okay, so today we are talking about online color matching, and this is kind of an interesting topic because when I started doing mascara, I did not plan to do a majority of my business online. I planned to kind of do a little bit here and a little bit there, and it has just kind of evolved like we all do and hope to. So hi everyone. Okay, so there is a lot to cover, so I'm just going to dive in. And the reason that this is an advanced class today is because online color matching is an advanced thing. So I feel like unless you have started on your on people in person, you just won't fully grasp the ability to color match online like flawlessly. So you may be able to like kind of guess or muddle through or ask everyone else opinions, but to really feel 100% confident for yourself, which obviously is our goal for you guys. We love helping you learn and things like that, but the more you can become self-sufficient in your business, the better. And so I feel like color matching is one of those things that is just a basic thing you have to know in mascara. So make sure that you are first starting out in person. You have to get makeup on as many people's faces as you can in person. Rachel talks about this also. Because if you aren't doing that, then you're going to struggle with the concepts that you learn here, and that you are like you won't know what to look for basically. So I would suggest mastering like in-person color matching before you branch out into online. That doesn't mean that like you can't ask for color matches online. I just mean dive in as fast as you can in person, and then you will master those and be able to evolve. Anyway, okay, so that's step one, master in person. And then step two, well, there's not steps. I'm just going to tell you some concepts. So ultimately, color matching, I feel like, ends up being kind of a subjective thing. So, like, someone could look at a photo and say, oh, I think they need amber and white peach, and then another person could look at it and say they could get by with June. So, like, they would split the difference and be in the middle there, you know? And so it kind of is like a subjective thing, but I will tell you what I look for personally, and you can kind of like develop your own system as well. But I would say most people online especially need to am I going in and out? I just saw that comment. Okay, sorry. I wish I could see your names. Hopefully I'm not going in and out. Let me know if it's okay. All right, so, and if it's not, then I can switch off and just use my phone or something. All right, so in my experience, most people need 2 highlight colors, and especially when you're dealing with online, it gives yourself room to adjust a little bit. And so, it sounds good? Okay. Desiree, I can only see one name. Hi, Desiree. I wonder why. That's so strange. Okay, so like, so you need to kind of give yourself some room, basically, and doing 2 highlights is always a good option so that you have like more of a range and people can kind of play around with less of this and more of this. Awesome. Okay, glitchy for you too. All right. Okay, so next up, for when you're going to color match someone online, you have to educate them. You have to create a different experience for them because they're online than you would be able to in person. If you have someone in person, you can, like Rachel's was really awesome, I felt like, because you can put a few colors on them and you can kind of like, all right, let's like look at this and talk about this. But when you color match someone online, you have like almost one shot to really help them understand that you're going to take care of them. So if you say someone sends you a photo and you are looking at their face and you're like, I have no idea, but I'm going to guess this and this, or I'm just going to throw sunlit at her. Then she orders sunlit and turns out she has some deep redness and things like that. And you were like, oh, I hear sunlit works great for redness, I'm going to send that to her. But she actually has like textured redness and it's deep. She's going to put sunlit on that and it's going to accentuate that. And if you were just like, oh yeah, sunlit, and she didn't really even understand why or the concept behind it, then she's going to be like, this girl doesn't know what she's doing, or this makeup doesn't work for me, or whatever. And if you haven't developed a relationship with her, then she's probably just going to move on and be like, yeah, I tried mascara and I'm done. Like, no, wasn't for me. Whereas it could be perfect for her if you're willing to take the time to educate her beforehand on kind of what you're looking for. The most important thing, and I'll go into this more in depth in a bit, but the most important thing is starting with a good quality photo. So make sure that you educate people on how to send you the right photo, and then you talk to them about the process before they actually order. You don't want, like Celeste said earlier, you don't want to word vomit on someone. You don't want to be like, blah, this is why I'm saying all these things. But you want to talk them through. Like, you want to be like, all right, so if there's something like you have deeper under eyes, we'll want to go in with a darker color to neutralize that out before we can come in with this other color to brighten you back up. And she'll be like, oh, well, that concept makes sense to me, But if you're just like, yeah, you're mango and white peach, she's going to be like, what? Like, those colors are like so far apart, And she's going to be like, I don't think you know what you're doing. But if you're like, this is this because here, and give her a simple explanation and be like, and if by some chance it's not perfect, please reach out to me because I am here to help get you the right color. And we can figure out what's perfect and best for you, I promise. And so you're instilling like that trust in them and that conversation built on that education right there before you even get them to order. So I feel like if you just throw things at people, a lot of people think that, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around thoughts, but they're all, I feel like, things to touch on. So if you are expecting someone who's coming to you for the makeup to have watched or taken in or understood everything you've put out there online, then you are like very mistaken. Like, the chances are they like saw a picture of you and saw a comment that said you like this makeup and they were like, cool, like I want that makeup, whatever. And then there's the other people who have to watch for 6 months everything that you do before they like would trust that you would know. But there are all kinds of people coming to you, and so you kind of have to gauge where they're at in the process of understanding this makeup. And so sorry, I'm like trying to read your comments too. And so I will talk to you about asking for the right photo in a sec. But you want to make sure that you understand where people are at when you're starting to have a conversation with them. Online color matching is more about the education beforehand and the experience you're giving to them in communication than it is about like that you have that opportunity when someone is there for a color match for you to put the makeup on them and teach them in person how to apply it. You don't have that luxury online. So you have to make sure that they trust you and that they feel like you're connected to them, even though you're not in the same room. So, okay, next, so let's talk about contour a little bit. I'm going to dive into highlight like a ton, because highlight is one of the biggest things to kind of understand and conquer when it comes to online color matching. But for contour, I feel like it is super important still, but ultimately, like, you can't try contours on people, so you are essentially guessing, like an educated guess, but there are actual, like, literal things to look at for highlights. But I feel like with contours, I still am kind of surprised sometimes when I put color on a face and I'm like, oh, she's like for sure olive, and I put it on and I'm like, no way, that's not her color, and I like wipe it off, you know. So usually when I am telling people the contour color, I will usually give them two options. So for me, I will choose two that I think would be the best option and say why. And so I'll explain to them and I'll be like, ash, and for your contour, I recommend ash if you're wanting something more neutral and like with no warm tones. Or if you want something with a little more warmth to it, then olive would be a beautiful choice for you. So you kind of give them like a couple options, because people typically will know like what they would tend towards. Like if they're like, oh, I don't want ashy, or if they're like, oh no, I don't want any warmth, like I'm gonna go this, I want it, you know, to do this. So usually if you give them two options, unless I'm like for sure, like I'm like, that girl is indigo, like no doubt, then I'll just say indigo. But if it's someone like, especially in those lighter ranges, where you have, you know, like aspen and ash and olive and stone, and like you have like all these options that kind of sit in this area here, then just pick two, tell them why, and then let them like go from there. So if you're having a hard time getting your contour and your blush to blend with each other, try different brushes. That's what I would suggest. Try and use different brushes for application, because you never know what's your sweet spot. All right, and so the next thing is include them in the selection process, which is kind of a spin-off of what we just talked about with the contour. But you want to make sure that you are not overwhelming them. Celeste covered this earlier too, which I thought was great, but she said keep it simple for them, and give them three options or something. And I feel like that's a great concept for the blushes and eyeshadows and stuff like that. So include them in the selection process. Be like, you know, like any of the blushes would be beautiful on you, but a couple of my favorites are this, or a couple of my picks for you would be these, like sandstone, because of this, it has this kind of finish. And like, make sure you're explaining to people the finishes, because when you're in person and you can look at desert sunset versus bare, you can be like, oh, you know, there's like a huge difference. But if someone is like, oh, the ones that look the most neutral online are these two, but and so then they order desert sunset thinking it's going to be a matte finish or something like that, because you haven't talked to them about that, then they are going to feel like super sticky, or, you know, whatever. Like desert sunset could be a perfect match for them if they're wanting like a little more moisture in their skin, a glow brought in, like all of that. But if they're oily and you have them and they get some desert sunset and they throw that on their cheeks, they're gonna feel just like a greasy, sticky mess. So you want to make sure you're understanding and explaining to them kind of the textures and stuff like that. Don't get overwhelming. That's why I say keep it down. Like, say sandstone has a matte finish. It's like a deep red color applied lightly. It's a really beautiful fall color. Then next, pink grapefruit has a matte finish. is a perfect everyday, like any season, will just add a little brightness to your cheeks. Like, next option, if you're looking to go something a little more bold, black cherry has a glossy finish. It really glams it up, and and it's buildable and great on your lips as well. So like, just give them like a line, you don't have to be like crazy and go into all depth of everything. But anyway, so give them options, and same thing with the illuminator. Like, just say this color or this color would be amazing on you, and here's the finishes on them and why they're different than each other. So really, aside from the highlight color, a lot of it is up to them. Just break it down and make it more simple for them, and explain why. Educating your people is going to be the most important thing you can do in the online color matching process, especially because it builds trust with them, and trust is something that you need if you want them to be a long-term customer of yours, like a returning customer of yours. So, all right. Don't forget to consider if they need stay spray or setting powder. That is something that is easy to remember in person, but I feel like a lot of people have a hard time remembering when they're color matching online. They're like, okay, here's your 4 colors, the end, and here's your hack back. But like, a lot of people will get the makeup and then they'll say, this makeup doesn't work for me. It's like, it's like too sticky, or it's sliding all over my face, or, all that stuff. And that could be a color issue, could be an application issue. It could just mean they need some setting powder, or they have really dry skin, and they're putting it on, but it's not lasting all day. And so they definitely need some setting spray with it. And then all of a sudden it's like the match made in heaven for them. So you have to be aware of, if you're recommending the right products to make the experience for them a good one when they get their makeup. So make sure that things like the perfector sponge are taken into consideration, mature skin especially, textured skin, like all of that stuff. You can see it in a photo. If they have mature skin, wrinkles, if they have texture, you know what texture looks like. So if they have that, make sure that you're using the perfector sponge, or you're recommending the perfector sponge for them. It'll make a big difference in their application. And then brushes for sure. And the more you can like approach it early on with them versus when they order the makeup from you and they get it and then they apply it and decide they hate it, and then they say, hey, I want to return this, and you're like, oh wait, before you return it, like, buy all the brushes because that makes a big difference. Then people are like, what? Like, no. And you're like, you're just trying to sell me more, and like, I just told you I don't want this. And whereas if you like talk to them about it before and like help them with whatever their budget is, like, okay, so we can only get one brush right now. I feel like the 30-second hack brush is probably the most versatile brush for you because of this and this and this. So why do you pick one illuminator over another? You feel like you can wear any of them and don't see a huge difference? So yeah, I feel like illuminator is very much so preference. There's probably some that, I don't know, look like more natural on certain skin types, or like would look too bright. Like, I've put pearl on one of my friends that was like, she was like goddess or something like that, and it really like stood out, and it was like just a little too much for her. And so, but pearl looks really beautiful on super fair skin. So there's like things like that will just change the look of it, but I feel like illuminators are pretty much preference, especially in dealing with online color matching. A lot of that can be left up to them. So okay, so tools are really important. Make sure you don't try and sell them to them afterwards to save your sell. You need to explain to them why it's important at the beginning in as few and little or least overwhelming way, few words and least overwhelming way possible. So good luck. Just kidding. But I mean, it is like an evolution, and you do have to practice. That's why this is a master class or an advanced class. But okay, so have I missed anything? All right, so some things to consider for the photos. So now we're going to dive into photos. Some things to consider. A, is the photo quality good enough? This is super important. Whoa, sorry, my screen just went out. This is super important because if you don't have the right photo, then you're both going to get frustrated when you're trying really hard to color match something that you can't see, and then they're trying really hard to apply colors that you don't even know if are accurate on their face. So it's basically like all comes down to has to be a good photo, and you can't just like throw it out there, hey, send me a pic and I'll get you color matched. People need to understand what kind of pic to send you. So they're just going to pull like a pic from last summer when they were at the beach, and they're like, this was a cool selfie with me and my husband, and I feel like it showed, like, I didn't have makeup on that day, so they're gonna send that to you. And you're gonna be like, cool, but what do you look like right now? You know? And, or they're going to show you one of these other examples that I will send you, or I'll show you in a second, and you're just going to feel really confused. So let's go ahead, and you need to explain to them how to get the right photo, what kind of photo you're looking for, and why, so that people trust and understand and appreciate what you're going to request for them, or what you're going to do for them. Okay, so let's go. I made this little example here. All of these photos were taken within like 5 minutes of each other. I just walked around different parts of my house and took these pictures. Sorry, it's me with no makeup on 10 times, but I prefer to have a photo without makeup on, just because I need to see dark under eye circles, I need to see redness, I need to see texture, I need to see freckles, I need to see melasma, pigmentation, all of that stuff. We need to see acne. You need to know what to do to prescribe something for people. Like, and I say prescribe because it's just like you need to, you can't be giving someone sunlight when they have really dark red patches on their cheeks, because you know neither of you are going to have a good experience with that. And so it's just imperative that you pay attention to their skin and what's actually there. I've heard other artists say that they ask for a photo with no makeup and then one with makeup, so that they can kind of see how the people like to wear their makeup, and if that's easier for you, great. For me, I just see their natural face and that's good for me. But okay, so I'm going to show you guys this here. So here is a photo right here, and it is taken indoors, and all of these photos are examples of pictures that I get multiple times a day. So, well, not all of them multiple times, but I get pictures that are similar to these over and over and over again. So I know that this is some of the examples of what you are going to get as well. I have lots of experience color matching, so I'm going to take you through why these don't work, or what you can do to kind of like work around it, or explain to people why this photo is not going to help. Okay, so for this first one, okay, there we go. So this first one, it's really just too dark, basically. It's inside, it's too dark. There's a whole shadow on this is all opposite. On this side of my face, there's a shadow. It's just not gonna work. Okay, so let's go through these, and then it'll bring up the next one in a second. So this one is honestly, this is like the second best one in the batch, but the problem with it is that my face is really washed out from the harsh indoor lighting, and my neck looks really dark, when in reality my face and my neck are the same color. And so I'm going to look at a picture like this and try and color match it and think, oh, I need to take her face darker to like kind of balance the two, or she definitely needs Bella or something like that. Or I'm going to think there's not a lot of darkness to the skin, so we can go lighter with your highlight. But actually it's just the lighting that is causing that to look washed out. So we don't want you to be like artificially washed out. This is indoor lighting, bathroom lighting, and shaded. That's bathroom lighting when someone's looking at the bathroom light. Not cool. This one is one of my personal favorites. It's the, oops, actually that one's my favorite. Okay, hold on. The comments are in the way of my video. Hold on. Okay, we're right here. I'm gonna move this video over here because the comments keep going over top. So this is the bathroom one, and then there's the looking up at the bathroom light is next. And see how warm that is? It just like literally what color? You know, you're just like, so you're orange. Like that's what I see, you know? And pretty much anytime you're dealing with bathroom or indoor lighting, it's not going to be an accurate representation of your skin tone. So the next one, this one is the laying in bed flash selfie. Like they were watching your video or your post at midnight and they were like, sweet, I'm gonna send in my photo. So they laid there in the dark and took a picture in the flash. So you can't see much with that because it's just like you can't really trust the tones going on basically. This one is probably one of my ultimate favorites, this next one. And it's the bunny face. Like, why people send me like bunny filtered selfies to color match, I don't know. But I think it's cute. The picture's cute, but no, I mean, not the one of me, but the one they send me is usually cute. But like literally you can't tell, right? And their face is even distorted from the filters. And so you just have to be sure that you tell people no filters, no any of that stuff. I really need to see your skin. So these are like the most terrifying pictures of me ever. This next one, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I get this photo. It is like the super close, like it has like blue tones or like some other different tones or whatever. And there's no relation. So you need to be able to see in relation to their neck, in relation to their body, what does their face look like? Not super far away, but like a close-up of just one of their eyeballs is like what do you do with that, you know? And so you're not going to be successful if people are sending this to you. So you need to make sure you're telling them, I need your neck in the photo and your face. I get this one all the time too. It's like the overly filtered glamour shot selfie. And you're just like, okay, like linen, let's go for it. You know, skin like that, you can totally do linen all over. And the reality is if you give someone linen all over their face, but like, so me, for instance, like obviously you can see us next to each other. I wear amber. And so this photo looks pink and white. So if I just threw like some white peach or some linen all over my face, I would have problems with it like lasting all day. I would have problems with it breaking apart. I would look really different than my neck. All kinds of things would be happening that would be problems. So as great as their picture might be to post on Instagram, they are not showing you like what your face actually looks like. So, and then I think this is the last one. There we go. That is the right lighting. So how do you get the right lighting? Look at that. It's like as close to me, even sitting here next to you, as any of them have been. And what I like to tell people is face a window that does not have direct light coming in. Like, and people are like, oh, so like at night? Like, no. So like there's no light coming through the blinds and creating lines of blinds on the floor. Like not that harsh light right there. But during the daytime, like maybe there's like shade outside that window or something like that. But you open the window or open your front door or something like that, and then take a few steps back and then hold the phone straight on. There was one in here maybe early on, but I forgot to tell you about it. But I was like facing the window. So it's kind of like, I'll give you the example here on the live video. So see how this side of my face is dark and this side is light? Some people will stand next to the window like that and send you a picture like that. but which side do you trust? You know, do you trust that this side looks like you have really dark circles, or this side that looks like you don't have any at all? And so I really like a straight on photo, because then I can see, okay, does this side have darker circles than this other side does? Like I have like way more issues on this side than I do on this, and it's showing on this photo here too. So you want it to be an accurate representation, and so straight on, you want the photo close enough that you can see texture to their skin, you can see dark spots, you can see all of the things you're looking for. And you can see in the photo my neck pretty much matches my skin, so we don't need to do a lot of like color correcting or brightening that way. I do have some darkness under my eyes. I have a lot of freckling, so I need to keep all that stuff in mind when I'm recommending a color. I need to make sure that I'm doing something dark enough to keep that warmth and keep my freckles from turning ashy and all of that stuff, or from washing me completely out. And then I can also support where I have lightness underneath my brows in the picture, the top of my nose, around my mouth, and my jawline are a little lighter. So I can support a second highlight color that is a little lighter. But I definitely can't just go in with white peach or aura and like do the whole thing. Otherwise I will have it breaking apart on my skin, and also it won't look cohesive with my neck. So that is why you need a good photo. A photo like this is like when you know for sure you can see their skin, and it's going to be your best representation of what you can present to them. So make sure you educate people on how to take the photo that you need from them, and tell them that if the photo is not an accurate representation of what they actually look like in real life, it will be really hard to get makeup that is a good fit for them. So anyway, let's get rid of my makeup-free face for a second. And now I'm going to take you through a couple examples. So now that we've talked about photo, I want to talk about some other things. Do they have redness? Do they have texture? Do they have pigmentation? We've talked about these a couple times. Darkness under their eyes. Is the darkness under their eye a tone? Is it a purple? Is it a green? Is it like, what color is that darkness under their eyes? Because that will be really important for you. Like, get a color wheel out. No joke, like pull it up on your computer or something like that. If there are purple tones, canceled out by yellow. Like, it's like simple elementary color wheel science stuff. And Luis is going to talk about troubleshooting with you guys tomorrow, and so I'm not going to dive like a ton into troubleshooting things. I'm just going to tell you kind of what to look for in your color matching photos. So make sure that you're keeping all of that stuff in mind. Like, and honestly, I've gotten pictures before where their face is so fair that I think they are just solid moonlit, and underneath their eyes needs mango. Like, so I recommend mango for your under eyes and moonlight everywhere else. And people are like, what? And I'm like, trust me on it, like, it's good. But how would I know that if I haven't done that on someone in person, you know? And so you're not going to feel confident in yourself to recommend things like that are a little like off the wall, unless you have had a lot of experience in person. So okay, and then acne scarring is a big one to look out for. If you have acne scarring, you don't want to recommend a contour color that will accentuate that, but I'm sure that Louisa will talk about that too, and if not, then we can come back to it and chat about it here. So I think a big thing in color matching, when people send me photos, sometimes my first recommendation back to them is trace like chase. So if someone sends me a photo and they're like, I have really intense rosacea, I just want something that will like take it away, then immediately I'm like, hey, let's start with trace like chase and like start working on that or whatever. This makeup is great for helping to balance that in the meantime or whatever, but if we could really find you some like relief with something else, I think this is worth a shot. So a lot of times you just have to kind of be aware of your client and what their needs are. And so we've also talked about the special application tool. So don't be afraid if it's a more mature skin to be like, hey, I actually really recommend that you get the Perfector sponge also. It will help when you apply this here to, you know, like press it into your skin. It'll really help you give like a more flawless finish to your skin. Because if you're putting a color that's too light, or they need like a different tool for it, then it's going to accentuate their texture and they're going to hate it. So you want to make sure that you're working on that. How do they usually respond when I recommend Trace Leches? You've tried that and people just want the makeup. So yeah, I mean, it's ultimately up to them, whatever they want to do. It's usually just a recommendation for me. Like, hey, just something to consider. This, I think, would be like a great, you know, a great relief for you. So what if they don't want to spend that right out of the gate? Suggest milk first. Yeah, I mean, you have to meet people where they're at, like no matter what. And I feel like I never ask people what their budget is ahead of time. I will usually tell them things and then I'll let them kind of govern themselves, especially when it comes to online, because you can like give them suggestions and then you can kind of let them tell you back like how they're feeling or things like that. And if you present it in a way that is not like super salesy, then I feel like, you know, it's coming from a place of genuineness, and hopefully they like sense that and feel that. Okay, so this is super long, so let's go ahead and look at just a few of these. So many of you sent in before and afters for me, and thank you. I am working on a tool for all of us, but I thought I would have it done by today, but I like grossly underestimated the amount of time it's taking. So I worked on it for the last 2 nights till like 3 a.m. and I was like, not happening. So I will keep working on that, and then I will get that to you guys hopefully before the end of beauty school. But you're afraid you'll get the will makeup not work for me if I don't use Trace Leches. Well, I mean, have an answer for things like so like if they respond, will the makeup not work for me if I use Trace Leches? They probably won't respond that way if you start out saying, if they say, I really want my redness covered, you can say, I have friends who have had great experiences, or yourself is the best example, but I personally have been using Trace Leches and it's helped heal my skin from the inside out, which makes the makeup apply like even more beautifully. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd love to talk to you more about it. But I think that the makeup will be beautiful on you as well. And try this color on the redness. It'll really help balance that and neutralize the redness for you. And then you can go in and add this color too to blend in your jaw, whatever. So really honestly, just like practice how you're saying things. So that people like build a trust with you versus like want to scrutinize you basically. So think their prescription that clearly isn't working, or they're allergic to milk. I don't know, people will give you excuses if they want to give you excuses and if you allow it. Like I'm kind of a no nonsense person in general, and so if people give me excuses, then I'm like, all right, do your thing, like whatever, but I kind of like move on. So and I don't know, probably a little too much that way. Like my kids, I'm like, well, figure it out. But anyway, so I think that you are allowed to run your business however you want to run your business, and you kind of just have to decide how you approach situations like that. And I would say never take anything personally, even if it's meant to offend you. Because I don't know, if I took it personally, the amount of times that people have told me that, I don't know, I'm like ugly or bad mom or, you know, all this stuff, then I would just like totally retreat and not be putting myself out there to all these people every day. So I think you just have to decide what works for you and be confident and comfortable in that. So, okay. Okay, here we go. I am going to pull some of the examples that you guys sent in for various reasons, and if I don't pull yours, it's not because I didn't love it. Oh, we just talked about offensive. Sorry, I don't want to offend any of you, but I am grateful for those of you sent in photos. Okay, so here's one. I loved this one because she has, I feel like I'm like totally like mirrored. It's weird. Okay, so she sent this one in and said that she had a sunburn on her nose, and like, I mean, clearly she's beautiful and flawless, but she used Goddess to balance that redness on her nose, and I wouldn't be surprised if she put a little Goddess on her forehead, eyelids, and right there on her cheeks as well. I can't say for sure, but I do know she used Goddess to neutralize some stuff, and then she went in with Wheat to balance all of it out, and then Indigo as a contour. So I'm going to share these, some examples like this, and I'll tell you what colors people used, but I feel like a lot of times you have to look for that. So I feel like the instinct for a lot of people, the instinct for a lot of people is to try and only recommend one highlight color. But I think you just need to change your kind of thinking in saying, what can I recommend that will actually help them have a really good experience with this makeup? Because if you think about it, you have this compact here, right? And say they have, I don't know, the Hack Stack. It's literally a matter, I mean, any of the compacts works for this, but it's a matter of them dipping in a different place. Like, it's not like adding more to their life or like making like more work for them or anything. It's not even like costing them more money, because if they use one color in one place and one color in the other place, then like they would have used one color in any place anyway. So like the colors are going to last them longer if they're splitting them up. So it's honestly, it's like not an inconvenience for people. It's a better fit for people. So you want to just keep that in mind and kind of change your perception of what you're doing. All right, beautiful, out of here. All right, so this one here, I pulled this one because she's using June, White Peach, and Moonlit. And so sometimes there will be instances where you can use 3 highlight colors, and sometimes that's totally a preference, and sometimes it's something that is needed and all of that stuff. So, okay, sorry, let me see your comments really quick. Okay, suggesting one highlight offer hinders the chance of the customer loving the makeup. Totally agree. Oh my gosh, you're hesitant suggesting more than the 4? I almost feel like if they're really going to love the makeup, they at least need 5. And at that point, they might as well have a hack stack. So I guess we're getting into like selling logic now, but versus color matching. But I don't know. I feel like open your minds. Like there are people who will understand and get this concept of this makeup if you teach it to them well. So make sure that you take the time to educate them, and then they will have all the tools to love the makeup, and you won't be feeling like you're holding yourself back, basically. Okay, so with this little beauty here, she has the redness around her nose and her cheeks, and on her upper lip. So I would, and like even a little on her chin. So I definitely think she needs something darker to go in and neutralize that. June is great for that. Unless it's a little bit darker than this, then you need to go into the amber mango range. I actually, like, my personal preference or personal instinct would have said amber instead of June, but I love the after, and I love how June neutralized out the warmth and they were able to bring it back in with blush. And so I feel like June is really good for that. If you pair June with the right blush, it can really provide like a brightness from inside, and then a great canvas for playing around with blush, especially for someone who's used to seeing that warmth in their cheeks. And then she brightened up some things with White Peach, and then was able to even go in and touch up a little bit more with some extra brightness with Moonlit. And it's not, okay. Because I don't know how to use technology, I don't know what contour this has on it because it's cut off. So you'll see it on the guide that I make you guys later. So, all right, next up we have this beauty. All right, I pulled this one because she has intense redness in her cheek ears right here and her nose and her chin. If someone has intense redness like this and you throw a light color on it, it will, like, you'll actually literally even see brush strokes like through it. And it will just like sit on top of the skin. It'll crack and break apart. They'll feel like they're using their product like crazy fast. They're just trying to layer it on, layer it on, layer it on. It'll be sticky, slimy, all that stuff. You will have issues for sure. But if you take them down and you put mango on this, then they will use a thin layer of mango. It will go on like butter, smooth, and they will have a really smooth neutralized base that you can go in afterwards and add brightness and lightness to. So they did that with the mango, neutralize the redness, and then you go in with the amber to create a brighter effect, and they use indigo for her contour. She looks beautiful, polished. I actually love that she still has the warmth that her body, like, you can see her chest has like that warmth. You can see that she has that natural warmth still to her. You didn't go in and just like, you're not allowed to have a warm face because she has a warm face. So you have to find the right color that just complements her and go from there. So, all right, next up we have I love this one too for like kind of the same concepts we were just talking about. This is a Mango Aura Linen. So quite a big jump from the last one was just mango and amber, and it's just right in a row. So this one, she has the redness that's pretty deep across her nose and cheeks and a little on her chin. And so mango over there, but look how light her eyes, like under her brows are and in between here. And even like on the sides of right here, I definitely see aura here, and on her forehead. And then I do think that she could go in and just brighten, and she's so darling anyway that like she can kind of support a high contrast look. Not saying that people who aren't darling can't support that, but usually with like younger people or someone who has like who seems like they have kind of a good knowledge of makeup application, I'll kind of push the limits for them a little bit, and I'll be like, hey, I think you're mango, but I think you could add some linen in there to really like create drama. You just need to be careful about how you're applying it. And they'll be like, sweet, all over it, and they'll send me a picture and they look like supermodel status, So if you feel like someone is like wants as simple as possible, probably don't throw something with real high contrast in there for them. If you feel like if they come to you and they're like, I love makeup, I love this, I just want to try it, looks so pretty, then you can probably do that. So you sent one in but forgot to like, that's okay. I have so many, and I'm like worried that I'll probably miss some in the meantime. Don't get offended. Just when you guys get the document, just add your own in there if you want to, and then continue using it for yourself and your teams, all that stuff. Don't worry about it. And forgive me if I missed any of them or if, anyway. So, mango is your jam. Okay. Well, I post this pics for you and what they used. Yeah, and you can also watch this replay. So, okay, good rule of thumb for redness would be June for fair and mango for medium to dark. Truthfully, I feel like it kind of depends. So, sometimes I've had fair skinned girls whose rosacea was so deep that I actually recommended Goddess on them, and then a second highlight color for the mid-tone, and then a brightening highlight color also. So it kind of just depends. I wouldn't say there's a solid rule of thumb for me, but mango is really awesome for fair skin, general redness, deep redness. Mango is really great for that. And then June is like mid fair, So like medium to fair, like falling in between fair and medium, that range of redness is great with June. A little bit darker than that, amber. A little bit darker than that, wheat. A little bit darker than that, mango. Like there's lots in between, obviously, and I'll show you more examples of those other ones too. But I don't know, this is where it comes in. You have to experiment in person. You have to like take that time to learn the colors for yourself. I tend to shy away from sunlit a lot in color matching because I feel like unless you can put it on someone in person and see how it applies on their skin, sometimes it can go like it can cause problems. But if they're really fair, like they're a white peach or something, sometimes sunlight is a great neutralizer for their redness, as long as they don't have like a lot of texture. So anyway, I don't really have like this color, this color, this color, this color. Color matching is a very subjective thing and it takes a lot of practice. So it's kind of a hard thing to teach. You need 3 highlights at least, but you would feel awkward doing your lives for new classes because it's not showing simplicity. I feel like show people the realness. Like, why do you love this makeup even though you have to use 3 highlight colors? Like, is it still the best fit for you? Is it still the best look that you've ever had? What is it? You know, why do you love it? And also, like, if you're using 3 highlight colors, then like how convenient is it that it's all right next to each other in a compact, versus it being like in 3 tubes, or you trying to put a foundation on to matte everything out and then try and go in and add like contrast back in, you know? Like, tell them why the concept still makes sense to you, even if it seems a little bit complicated. And also build trust in there for you, like that you were able to find the perfect fit for yourself, so you'd love to help them find the perfect fit for them. Okay. So what do you say to online color matches that say they feel like they need to try it in person and that's not a possibility? I don't know. I just tell them that there's a return policy and that you're there to help them just like you would be in person. And you're happy to be their artist. And so, I don't know, you have to build credibility in yourself and trust in yourself. If you're approaching it cautiously, or like you don't have like that trust in yourself to get them the right colors, then they're going to sense that and not have the same trust in you either. And then they're going to hit you with excuses and see what you have in your arsenal to like combat their excuses. And so, I kind of feel like I don't really give people like an opportunity to give me an excuse. I'm like, I know what I'm doing, so if you want to send me your photo, I'm happy to help you out. If not, then that's fine. So, okay, I am going to have to go back and read this makeup. Or read this makeup. All of them say makeup. Read the comments later because this is going to get too long. Okay. Sweet. So this little beauty here, I wanted to show you something darker because cinnamon, mango, indigo. Because I love that this has a high jump, but in the darker like skin tones. So we see a lot of like amber and linen or things like that, but this one is cinnamon as a base and then mango to brighten. So what I wanted you to understand in this concept is that the theory of like using a color that neutralizes the base and works well with the skin and melts in well applies at any of the ranges, and then you just go up a couple steps or up to whatever you see in them that makes you feel one color or another to brighten it up. So beautiful job there. Okay, papaya and cinnamon and indigo. I love this one. She looks just like glowing. So I love this because see how she has like the darker tones like on her lip and around her nose, and like her chin is darker and things like that. So you definitely want to address those with something darker before you go in with something lighter, because you don't want it to be breaking apart, just like we've talked about the whole time. So basically same concepts over and over again. I'm just showing you examples of them now, because when you get a photo, you're going to be like, oh no, this photo looks different than that one specific photo that I learned on. So I just want to give you different options here. All right, so I wanted to give you a fair option. This girl is wearing Moonlit and Ash, and for me, I actually probably would have put a second highlight color. I mean, her after looks beautiful, but when I see like just that subtle fairness or subtle fair redness, I probably would have put something like really light, like a white peach or something like that, and then brightened everything up with Moonlit. But I feel like the after of this looks beautiful. And that's like kind of the advantage you have to color matching people in person, is you can try just one highlight color, and if it works, then great. But if it was in online, I feel like you kind of need to cover your bases. So there you go. Beautiful job. All right, here we are. This beauty. Hi, beautiful. Okay, sorry, that was shaking. So Christina's a stunner, obviously, but I really like this one because she uses wheat, and to me it looks like wheat is actually most of her face. And so it's not always going to be where you're spot treating with a darker color. Sometimes your darker color will be most of your face, and your second color is really only providing that brightness. So you can see how she has like a pretty even darkness to a lot of her face, and she does have the light reflecting on these brighter spots here, and that's kind of what she accentuated with the aura in the other photo. So that is like ultimately what you're trying to do with your makeup, is create that look of that brightness, that light on your face that's creating that brightness that you can see in her before picture. She basically made that happen with makeup in her second picture, so even if she doesn't have a bright light on her face, she's going to walk around looking like a supermodel. So, I mean, she would anyway. But, and she used olive for her contour, which I actually think is cool, because I feel like olive is like the same color as she has going on already, like here. So I feel like it's a really subtle, natural contour, not like a super high contrast contour, which is cool. Contour is open to interpretation in a lot of ways, because you can like provide higher contrast, or you can provide it to just look a little bit more natural. All right, are you guys sick of this yet? We have two more, and then I'll let you go. So this one has White Peach and Moonlit. Holly's another little beauty, but so I like, this is kind of the concept I was talking about with the last Moonlit, where the white peach kind of goes in and just like a little bit of warmth. And I kind of like a little warmth to the skin, because I feel like it makes you look like alive. We all want to look alive, don't we? I don't know. Anyway, so I like you can see in the after pic how it gave her whole skin just like a little bit of a warmth that she doesn't have in it before. And then she was still able to use the Moonlit to brighten up and all of that stuff. And then I believe she has ash on. It doesn't say over there, but I'm pretty sure. All right, good job. And I'm showing all of these examples because they're perfect, just so you know. There's none of these examples that I'm showing because I'm like, oh, I do this different. That's not what I mean. I'm like just talking to you about things to consider. So this one, my buddy Amanda did, and I love it because it shows mature skin. So you need to look at mature skin a little bit differently than like a 17-year-old, you know, that has no wrinkles or anything like that. You need to look at mature skin in the way of not accentuating texture. A lot of times they have dark spots. You can see on her right here. I'm trying to go on the same side as her, and like so that you can see that side. Anyway, it's all backwards. So she has a brown spot on this area, and then on this other side she has a couple brown spots here and down here. And so if you're dealing with things like that, a lot of times they want those neutralized, and you need to go in with a darker color to make sure you're neutralizing that. And as well, like especially in the after pic, so if you look in the before pic on the side that's like facing you like this, then you can see kind of the arches of her smile lines and her little like cute creases. I don't know, I always feel bad, like, and here's the wrinkles, but and so you can see those there, and you can still see them in the after picture. But do you see how they're just like her skin just looks like beautiful on top of it? Like it just looks amazing. So that's what you want it to do. And I feel like the Perfector sponge is a perfect tool for this, but you have to have the right color. It has to be dark enough. One of the worst things you can do with mature skin is put a color too light on them. It has to be dark enough for those, and then Perfector sponge that baby out, and then probably avoid putting illuminator like right in there on the creases. I would put it like a little bit down and out there, or like focus on just the blush and bringing the life back in there and stuff like that. So anyway, she used wheat, and then she brightened her up with linen. So with mature skin, you need to use a color that's dark enough to neutralize out the dark spots, the texture and all of that stuff in their skin. But then you can go in and really lightly and strategically brighten them with one of the really bright highlight colors that can kind of bring that balance and that life into their skin. So the lightest light complexion, we can warm them up and get the triangle of light by warming them up, and the darkest of dark, that contour might not show up in. We add dimension by using highlighter. Cool, thanks. Okay, so that is my last example. Oh, and she has stone on, and I feel like stone works really well for her because she has that warmth, like an overlay of warmth to her. So wheat and stone together just make her look cohesive, and so I love it. Good job. All right, so I'm going to make a comprehensive guide for you just of examples. I mean, honestly, what this all comes down to is it's subjective. Practice a lot. Practice even more. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if this was helpful. All I know is it's been an hour and I'm still talking at you. So I'm going to go. But hopefully this was helpful, and you guys can kind of build on the things that you are learning in all of these classes. And, oh, your homework. I need to tell you your homework. So your homework for this challenge, or for this thing, is to have someone send you a well-lit selfie. So you have to instruct them on how to take a perfect picture, and then you have to post it in the comments and color match them. So post it in the comments and color match. You can ask for it on like your platform, on, you know, like you can do a live video on Facebook and ask for people to send you photos or something like that. Or you can ask your mom to send you one, whatever. The point of this is that you start practicing color matching from a photo, and you start learning to trust yourself and look for the things that we talked about looking for in your photos. So grab a photo. It can't be one that you already have. You have to ask for a new one. And I mean, I would prefer if you asked for like 5, but for sure ask for one and then post that below and color match it. So, all right. Well, thanks for being here. Love y'all. Bye.